vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
Tell me.
88. How many of those were they used in order to protect Israel from a veto?
0.
56.
Oh.
The superpower of the world over 50 years used more than 65% of its veto power to protect one country. You cannot compare both.
So why do you think that is? Why is Israel so aligned with Israel? I'm sorry, why is U.S. so aligned with Israel over Gaza?
I don't know. I mean, there's like a million.
Ask yourself.
There's a million. Why? So why
I want to know.
Tell me. Because they're white like them? Are they allowed to put people?
Who's white?
Well, I mean, a lot of Americans consider Israel is the white.
But you know for a fact.
I know.
Most Israelis are Sephardic and are brown.
It's the perception.
So it's bullshit.
It's the perception.
Exactly.
It's a perception. So this is how Israel promotes itself. We are a secular. We are a democratic country. I have never seen a secular or democratic country that would actually give contraception shots to its own citizens, to their Ethiopian Jews, and make them not to reproduce. And until 2013, they have confessed doing that. They have been doing this for 10 years. That is not a democratic country. I have never heard a secular country, a democratic country, that would kidnap little kids from Yemeni Jews in 1950 and then take them away and then tell their parents that they die. And they did that in order to instill Semitic DNA in their population. That's why DNA testing is not allowed in Israel.
So are you pro-Islam? Are you anti-Israel or both?
I'm not pro anything. I'm pro humanity, man.
So am I.
It doesn't matter my religion is. I don't care actually, and I can give you 100 things I can tell you about Islamic countries that they do wrong. But what happens is right now is that the people who are bombing people only every single day, they are not Yemenis, they're not Houthis, they're not Saudis, they're Israelis. For 100 days, they have dropped almost 3 nuclear weapons on an open-air prison, and all because of Hamas. Dude, if ISIS was already there, you have no excuse to kill 30,000 people.
You can't say words like nuclear weapons when it's not true, Bassem, and you know that.
The equivalent of 3. No, I can't.
So now they're dropping nuclear weapons? That's what you're trying to sell me on this one?
I said they're dropping the equivalent of 3 nuclear weapons.
So how many people have died in Gaza?
30,000 people.
Okay, according to Hamas. Obviously, UN gets their number from Hamas.
So do you have a number that you trust?
No, I don't have any number that I trust, but I'll take your word for it. I don't think that sounds...
So how many...
hundreds of thousands of Muslims have died in the Middle East.
How many people in Israel died in October 7th?
According to the numbers, 1,200.
According to who?
But the numbers are still being counted.
According to whom?
According to the IDF.
Oh, but I don't trust the IDF.
Whether you do or you don't, those are the numbers that we're working with.
Well, I'm giving you 50,000 people died, and you said you don't trust them. So who do we trust?
That's not what I said. I said according to Hamas.
Yeah, but
so whether I believe the numbers...
When you say according to Hamas, it's the undertone that you don't believe the numbers.
With all due respect, you're missing my point. 30,000, other than the Hamas fighters, because I will stand to kill these people. I hope 0 civilians die. But we know what happens.
But they die.
Of course.
Every day.
But let's go back to my initial question. Let me ask this question and then you can stick to my...
How do you think how many...
But what about the 100? 0.
Should stop?
0.
But they're killing it.
Okay, but that's not my point, Bassem. My point is this. 30.
How many
can I ask
lost
the question?
their limbs?
Can I ask the question? And then you can have the full response. Why is this issue at the forefront of the news when hundreds of thousands, since 9/11, 5 million plus people in the Middle East have died? 5 million. 5 million versus 30,000. Where are the marches? Where are the protests?
But you haven't been around.
No,
you just haven't been around.
No, but I also read the newspapers. I see what's going on.
Because there has been marches against what's happening in Yemen. There have been massive marches against what happened in Iraq.
If you ask the average person, they couldn't tell you that there's a war in Yemen.
There is a difference.
But if you ask the average American, they know what is exactly going on in Israel.
Here's the thing. These mental gymnastics where you want to divert people to other conflicts, these conflicts are proxy wars. These conflicts are civil war. Terrible, horrible. Civil war. There's been civil war happening in all kind of Asian and African country. The only difference is that is a foreign country invading another country, like exactly Russia invaded Ukraine, and then everybody is sitting there. All they ask is ceasefire, because one of the people in that conflict is a country that has been financed given money by the U.S., it is considered as part of the free world because they're secular, because they are democratic, and they are committing war crimes every single day under the eyes of the United States, of the UN, and the Security Council. And that is why it is different.
Fair enough. So civil wars are totally okay. If it's a civil war, don't look at those are people just doing their thing.
Did I ever say that civil war is okay?
But you basically equivalized. Let's have a civil war, 5 million people die across the Middle East.
Yeah, it is terrible.
It's no big deal.
Usually the civil war is really supported by like two proxy people, and they're like killing each other, and it's terrible, and they're trying to do it. And at the same time, those people are not just like killing them, they're killing them, wanted to push them out, openly saying that we are going to push Palestinians into the Sinai. Basically, that is my country. All right?
The only people shouting for the river to the sea are the Gazans.
Well,
Palestine will be free. So what does a free Palestine look like?
You know what's the difference between regular people in the street shouting from the river and the sea? Mm-hmm. These are regular people that are carrying flags in the street. You know what's happened on the other side? You have government official like Bitzail, like the Minister of Finance. You have Ben Ghafir, who is the Minister of National Security. Both of them, by the way, were arrested many times for acts of terrorism against their own country.
These are Israeli prime ministers?
These the ministers.
Not the prime ministers, ministers of certain.
Yeah.
So do you mean to tell me that Yahya Sinwar, who's the head of Hamas, or Mahmoud Abbas, who's the head of the PLO, they're not politically saying from the river to the sea? So if we're going to use that equivalence...
You didn't even finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So first of all, you are comparing a militant group, a terrorist group, with a secular democratic country. This secular democratic country that I'm telling you about, they have ministers coming up with a map of Greater Israel behind of them, and they openly talk about them, which is, by the way, if you don't know, the Greater Israel map is from the river to the Euphrates, including part of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, and of course Palestine. So that is the official talk of the official ministers. So you want to kind of ignore this, and you go after random people in the streets with flags saying from the river to the sea. Don't you see that comparison is a little bit off?
It's not just random people. It is Hamas, who is the governing body of Gaza.
Hamas?
But the point of a democracy, what do you mean?
Hamas, at the end of the day, they're a militant group. They're a militant group. They're ISIS. You don't take them seriously. Militant group.
Don't take them seriously. They're the leaders of Gaza, They were elected in 2006, and as your joke said, a 30-year...
2006, when nobody actually was alive by then. Like now, like people there, how many people were alive?
50% of Gaza was not alive in 2006.
So if you did an election right now, they're not going to be the ruler of Gaza.
Yeah, but you didn't do an election. That's the point.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because basically they kicked out Fatah and the PLO, and they're running the West Bank.
And Israel didn't put them under blockade and kick the shit out of them.
There is an argument to be made there. You think that I'm saying that Israel is completely innocent? Do you think I would say that the U.S. is completely innocent? No, I don't think you said that. We had a debacle in Iraq. We had a debacle in Afghanistan. There's no perfect country. There's no innocent country.
Listen, this is what you do. And when I say what you do is what America and Israel and all of this, like let's kill them all.
No. You've already put words in my mouth. You've called me racist. You're saying that I want to kill everybody. I've said none of those words.
You kill people and then you ask questions later. You kill people, you ask questions later.
Isn't that what Hamas does?
America did. Hamas is a terrorist group. You are comparing Hamas. Every time you compare Hamas, I'm bringing you Israel and America, which are supposedly democratic countries. Hamas and ISIS and whatever, these people are not like good examples, right?
I agree.
Good example. So when you tell me Hamas, all right, fine, Hamas, horrible people. Let's talk about the leaders of the free world. America, they kill first, they ask questions later, and the result, Afghanistan and Iraq.
Disasters.
They kill.
I'm not going to argue with them on that one. Disaster.
Israel kill later, and then the result, what's happening in Gaza and what's been happening to Gaza, is there's no justification for Israel to kill 30,000 people right now. And all the thing about October 7th, many of them, can you tell me where are the decapitated babies? What are their names? Can you tell me the names?
You want me to go over every dead, decapitated Israeli baby's name?
I think that story was refuted, wasn't it?
It was refuted many times.
It wasn't real.
And it was the biggest story.
What's your point? That Hamas didn't kill babies? That didn't kill women?
I say if you have
There's hundreds of people kidnapped by Hamas. What's your point?
No. They're kidnapped, yes. In fact...